And so we're going to kick it off with Lúnasad, which is a harvest festival. It is of pagan tradition, and we're going to talk about both of our versions of that, really, because through, more pagan law, that is Lughnasadh, and through Catholicism, it is Lammas. But the Catholics did take that. I don't want to say like they stole it. I'm going to say that they liked what they saw. They decided we want to do this too.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you say that because I had no idea what this was. I found that I guess it's more popular in the north and it's not always celebrated at the same time based off what hemisphere you're in, apparently. But yeah. But so last week we talked about Mary, Lazarus, and Bethany, and we talked about Pope Gregory being a person who turned Mary Magdalene into this all being the same person, which I do agree with. I don't agree what happened after he did that, but I do agree that the woman in the anointing and Mary Magdalene and Mary of Bethany were all the same person. I do agree with that, and maybe you
I
guys
agree
all
with
agree
that.
with that now too.
Hmm.
But it was Pope Gregory who, as Christianity was moving into England, told them, like, hey, listen, they got all these like Celtic festivals. And he pretty much was like, all right, well, let's not change what they're already doing. Go there and let's figure out how like these different festivals we can make our own so they don't feel like because these people aren't going to give up their faith and give up these traditions. So we don't want to get rid of their traditions, but we want to like figure out how we can make it also. So Pope Gregory the Great, great, not so great, was the person who kind of kicked off this idea of turning pagan holidays into Christian holidays. And so, which makes complete sense. And it's very Pope Gregory the Great of him to. I gotta find out if he named himself this great. Um, very, I guess,
I feel like he did.
religious dictatorship of him to be like, I'm gonna be the great, and that's just what's gonna be. But yeah, he was
Mhm.
the one who kind of transitioned it. And so, on a Catholic stance of what I've listened to podcasts and things over the weekend, this is like called the Loaf Mass. Now, it was always on the same day as St. Peter's feast day, but I guess when Vatican II happened, they decided to get rid of one of the Peter feast days and um keep it with, I guess, Paul, and not do, I guess it was supposed to be this feast day for St. Peter was that he had something about getting away, something about prison in Jerusalem, like maybe he was like freed from prison in Jerusalem. And so it was a celebration also to St. Peter, but you would bring like loaves of bread to mass, and it's called the Loaf Mass, and you would pretty much say this, bread of life prayer, and you would ask for your first loaf to be blessed, so that way you can have more harvest, and that the heart, and so you're thanking God for the harvest that you got. So that is what I got from on the Catholic level. They don't really celebrate it anymore. Maybe in places where these Celtic traditions are probably popular, like England, they probably still do, but it's not like a Catholic holiday that or feast day that everybody does. And it might just, like I said, be more geographical based off of where wheat, I guess, is grown. But yeah, that's kind of all I found about Lammas Day.
Yeah. Well, it was for the Catholics, it was more of an Anglo-Saxon, tradition. And I'm from New England, so I can absolutely remember. That's why like I brought it up to you. I was like, Lammas has like it's a Catholic thing. And because I remember seeing like, being like 10 years old and seeing the missal, and it was like Lammas and it had to do with the bread and stuff. But
Might be a northern thing,
then
like
I kind
probably
of
like Massachusetts and like Connecticut. That seems because there's so much wheat up there. But I mean, I've only been Catholic in Florida, so like I've never, but I'm sure they probably do celebrate it up there still.
and the altars are decorated really pretty.